Panther people, what up? It is friggin' draft week. We've been waiting years for this, and I'm joined by the one and only Aaron from Unnecessary Bluntness. Make sure to check out his channel. It is friggin' amazing. His channel's blowing up. Everyone's channel is going to be blowing up. We talk about all things NFL draft, how hyped we are about this team, and also why the hell CJ STROUD's fallen. Is this borderline bullying? Aaron, man, I was checking out my YouTube channel. I was checking out the content. It has been almost half a year since you and I chatted, and the title of that episode was "What's Killing the Panthers?" And I guess what was killing the Panthers was Matt Rule, and since then this is a completely different team, and a completely different vibe around this team, and I can't get enough hype right now. I'm trying to hold on to my bank account as best I can, but I feel like I'm about to spend a lot of money in the next couple weeks.
Look, the jersey. If Matt Corral was not number 9, I would probably already purchase my jersey by now for Bryce Young. To be honest, I just don't know how the number situation is going to work out. Rumors are he may be switching to 2, but I'm as hyped as you. I'm just trying to. The only decision I have to make is what color jersey I'm going to get because I don't have any white jerseys in my closet. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get the white jerseys, and they're hard to keep clean. But
Yeah, that's true. They are very nice. I got a Luke Kuechly. I got the Nike Limited when I was at the bank for Panthers Falcons when Cam dunked on the guy. So I got that. It pops. But like imagine like this is how spoiled we are. Like we're now at a moment in time where we're just like, what jersey color do I get? Whereas before we're like, should I kill myself or not? Because that's how it felt like after the last couple of years under the Rule era. And now here we are. We're just talking like, I wonder if Matt Corral's going to change his number. I was looking at Bryce Young high school. I'm like, what did he wear in high school? Like maybe there's another number he could wear. But it seems like he's been 9 through and through. And so it seems like a good bet that it is Bryce. Like literally the betting favorites. Like I see you're killing the betting game. You put money on when Bryce was like what plus 250.
Yeah, he was plus 250. I don't know what week was that. It was like maybe the week after his pro day, and the buzz was still kind of leaning towards CJ. And the more and more I was reading reports. I was like, for something in my gut told me like this makes too much sense. I was like, why did CJ? I mean, we'll talk about CJ obviously a little bit more, but I was like, why was the CJ hype so high? Did anybody come out and say that's who they favorite? No, it was literally just people assuming that Frank Wright was that way, and then he came out and said that he wasn't married to that. I was like, just for value-wise, with Bryce being the best quarterback prospect despite the size, I was like, let me just throw a little bit of money on here. And then I think I heard that it had moved over the past like couple days, and I doubled down a little bit too at plus 200. I was like, okay, this is going to pay for my jersey if we draft him. And then I'm hearing Anthony Richardson hype, and he's like plus 2,000. I was like, okay, I'll sprinkle a hedge. I'll put $10 on there just in case that it happens. And I wasn't really hearing any Stroud hype, so I was like, okay, I'll just leave it. If I lose, I lose off of the Stroud. But it starts more and more. Now he's like minus 1,800 somewhere at most sports books. So hopefully, knock on wood, everything works out that way at least. At least Bryce is my pick right now. I don't know where you stand on it, but regardless, we're getting our quarterback.
Exactly. Like I'm happy with Young or Stroud. We'll talk about Stroud. It seems like the NFL's not happy with Stroud. It's weird, but like I was happy with either or. Again, talking about being spoiled, I thought we were spoiled no matter what. But I was taking a look at my videos, and back in like 6 months ago, it was literally like it was week 7, and I was like, we need to draft somebody. And I went through all the guys, and Bryce Young was my guy, just because he felt like the playmaking ability, like the stuff that we're hearing now, like the Steph Curry comparisons. The fact, not because he's undersized, that could play a part, but he's a problem solver. The off scheduled throws and the plays, and the leadership qualities and the CEO quality. I think that is an underrated part that people now have to think about. You look at Patrick Mahomes; he's a part owner of the Kansas City Royals. Like these guys are literal like CEOs and like business guys. And I feel like Bryce, he was one of the first NIL millionaires without even taking a snap in college football. And the fact that he didn't screw up off the field, seemed like a straight-laced guy for an only child. And, you really can tell that his dad was a psychologist and his mom was a teacher. And you're hearing in the interviews now, but way back, 6 months ago, I was like, this seems like the guy. And when the Panthers were naturally picking first overall, he was my guy. And And then when they traded up to number 1, I'm like, wow. And then then you saw the CJ Stroud Georgia game.
Yeah.
It just got me thinking. I'm like, okay, so this guy's big, and he's pretty built. Like I've seen some videos of him throwing around in just a t-shirt. I'm like, he's a lot thicker than I thought he was going to be. But he could definitely put on weight as well, CJ. And then he showed the mobility. So then I was torn. But now it just seems like Bryce is the guy. It has nothing to do with S2, but there's something. It seems like he's murdering the interview process. And I saw Matt Miller's his buzz on the quarterbacks, and they were just saying, his sources with the Panthers are saying like they have a lot of like for CJ Stroud, but something about Brett, he just owns the team right now, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure you've probably seen the Steve Smith. Well, I haven't fully watched the Steve Smith interview, but the one on the pivot.
Yeah.
I think the first time I actually heard him like speak outside of the Heisman little like scripted speech was at the pro day when he sat down with Steve. And I think it was Garofalo, I think, from NFL Network. But like the demeanor, he was just as chill. Like the way that he plays is real calm and relaxed. He never seems flustered, and that's what he gives off. He's very soft spoken. So it'll be interesting to see what his quarterback cadence is and trying to put bass in his voice and stuff. Because in college, all he did was clap, but in the NFL, you're yelling out white 80, blue 42, all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see him trying to say that with his chest, but just the demeanor, how he presented himself, how calm he is. And I think people were feeding into the hype of like, oh, they were all buddy with CJ and family like, and when you come to Charlotte, we'll play basketball. They weren't like that with Bryce. But I'm like, just Bryce's personality is like that. And you interact with people all the time. You do that. I mean, you do it for a living. So like you don't really, you can have certain energies, and even Steve Smith is that high energy type of guy. But some people's personality are so infectious that like they're so chill, you can't help but be chill. And even Steve, as the guy that he is, was like real like calm and just kind of cool, calm and collective, talking to Bryce, was really praising him a lot. And I was just like, this personality is very infectious. And then just listening to his parents, him being the only child was really crazy to me, because it seems like what they wanted to be when they were kids is like, okay, hey, I want to have an NFL quarterback as my son when I grow up. Because like it seems like everything they've been doing since birth. I mean, his dad talked about putting the football in his bed. He's been taking the S2 score for me test for years.
I didn't know that.
Just him being a psychologist and like talking to Bryce and keeping him calm. It's just, it seems like everything they've been doing has been ordering his steps to be for this moment, I guess, per se. And so, yeah, I mean, the size is a concern, but like, I mean, I was like, at 9, I was like, yeah, let's trade up for Stroud. Bryce didn't really seem realistic because going to 1 just seemed so far-fetched. Going to 3 seemed more likely. And I was like, I'm cool with Stroud. I'm still cool with Stroud. Yeah. But somebody said, hey, Stroud, why do you like Stroud? I was like, man, he seems like a safe pick. You know, you can picture what the offense looks like with him behind center. He's a precision passer. Nobody's going to look better throwing the football to CJ Stroud. His pro day was amazing. Combine was amazing. His tape is great that way too. But safe gets you 8-1 sometimes, you know, like you may have a quarterback, you may end up being the Vikings where you have some good years, but you just maybe can't get over the top. And Bryce just has that it factor, man. And it seems like everybody's starting to come around that way too. As far as, I mean, I was, like I said, Stroud was my guy initially, but I think right after the trade went down, that's kind of when I was in on Bryce. I didn't really want to make that risk. But then once somebody told me like, yeah, playing it safe gets you 8-1. And I was like, I don't want to be that team. We either go for broke or not, you know. Exactly. Then you could say Anthony Richardson could be that going for broke, but
that's what I was thinking as well. Like
it's crazy.
Who was I talking about? I think it was Steve Smith. He was saying it at Anthony Richardson's pro day. He's like, no one wants to miss out on investing in Amazon or investing in Apple low. Like he's that guy. He is the prototypical like the traits guy. He's like, oh, if you can mold him, and I'm like, oh man, if only we have a great coaching staff. Oh wait, Panthers do have an amazing coaching staff. Like they could, if it was Matt Rule, I'd be like, fuck, stay away from us, man. Yeah. Like we're not going to coach you up at all. And like now that we have this like amazing place, whereas a year ago, ESPN guys were saying, you know, if I had a son, I wouldn't want to get drafted by Carolina Panthers. Now it's like, I want my kid to go to the Carolina Panthers. Like they're going to teach him up. And Anthony Richardson could be that guy. And that's what I was thinking about too. Not going to lie, I made up the jersey myself. I put it Richardson, 15. I looked at it, I was like, Yeah, it can look okay. Jerry Richardson, big catches, pass. You got another Richardson in here. Like the narrative kind of writes itself a little bit, right? And I was just like, he's back in the building. But I was just, I thought about that too, and I'm like, man, like you could make it the offense suit to what he does best, and that he could be the guy. But then Bryce starts looking like the safe pick compared to Anthony Richardson. But I think he kind of has Bryce has the best of both worlds minus the size part. But he's got the playmaking ability. He's got the mind. But yeah, it's going to be so weird looking in 3 years from now to see how this pans out. Like, is this going to be a 2011 draft with Cam, where Cam was the top guy, everyone else just kind of flopped?
Yeah.
Or is this going to be, what was it? Was it 2018 that had
2018 Baker?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Is it going to be that draft where it's like just like Lamar, who was last pick in the first? That's still like, and then you got Josh Allen, who, let's be honest, he's a media darling. He still hasn't won anything. Like, like I don't know. Like, what's this draft going to be? I have no clue. And it's definitely better than last year. I think the entire NFL's figured that out.
Look, the anxiety level is a lot lower, and the hype meter is a lot higher because, like I said, we're sitting pretty. Nobody's picking before us, and we almost pretty much know who we're taking. We can really kick our feet up. I don't know how long we'll be on the clock. They'll probably build some drama. We may only be on the clock 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. The only question is, do I wait for a processed blue jersey or do I go with the regular blue? How'd you feel about them coming out and admitting that, like, because you were pretty hot on the speculation trail as far as new jerseys. I saw you on Twitter talking about it, but were you let down about it?
Discount? Yeah. I didn't know what the Cardinals were doing, but I was on vacation. I was just looking at the shop because I have no life. Despite I have a kid and a wife, I have no life. Then I was on the Panthers shop. I'm like, yo, why is a Brian Burns jersey $93 US? What the hell? Is he getting traded or like what is happening right now? And then I saw, coupled with what the Cardinals are doing, I was like, oh my God, are they going to try to like keep the hype meter, like get it to 11? Like they're going to draft a quarterback and get a brand new look? And then the fact that the Panthers brass didn't say anything until things got, like, all these reports started coming out, and some very reliable sources too, saying things like they're dropping silver, new look, everything, and like no, just a color change. I thought that was disappointing. But then if you look at the Cardinals jersey, it's like a completely different template.
Yeah.
They got this V-shaped thing going on, and I think just from that, and like the strap above the shoulder. The fact that they're not having to go wrap around the underneath, and the fact that it's going to kind of mold with the new template, I think it's going to, with the new color, I think it's going to look pretty fresh, like pretty new. The numbers are still the same, like the blockiness.
Yeah,
it's fine, I guess. It's okay. It's not as fast as I'd like it to look, but I think I think it'll look okay. Like if you get the limited jersey, if it's a lot more expensive this year, not going to lie, it's a couple bucks more. But I'd have to get processed blue just to make the most out of the change.
Yeah. I don't hate the Cardinals jerseys, to be honest. A lot of people are like, man, because it seemed like the hype was whatever. And I think jerseys are a very delicate, a very delicate thing to work with because they changed their. I don't know what year they changed their jerseys, and they're okay. I like their white jerseys, the old white jerseys. They're pretty good.
Right.
The home ones aren't great to me. The red ones, I do like the minimalist style that kind of people are going to now. A lot of people are kind of like on it these days as far as like sports being minimalist, but I like it. It's not the worst. There's definitely been worse changes for sure.
Exactly.
It would have been. It's funny because you talk about them coming out with that announcement. That just tells me that they really are on Twitter, like, and they pay attention to what's going on, and just like, not saying that like we're just some almighty whatever, and they listen to us when we pick quarterbacks, but they're definitely in the Twitter streets and listening to buzz to the fact the fact that they had to respond because the narrative was just getting out of hand. So that's what
it was getting wild.
Speaking of narratives. Say what?
Yeah, so many credible sources were like, "This is going down," and they were just like, "Whoa."
Yeah, it smelled fishy, but I think once the Cardinals announced that what date they were announcing theirs, that's when the Panthers had to be like, all right, we're not changing. This is just an update. Nike had it wrong the whole time. I'm like,
I just can't believe, like, how hard is it to get a color? I didn't know how hard it was to get a color. Like, I thought like we have artificial intelligence literally writing the news right now. We can't even get a certain blue for the biggest sporting company in the world. Anyways, um, let's talk about CJ for a second. It is
Yeah.
weird. I feel like there's some borderline bullying going on right now.
Mm.
What is happening? Like I literally talk about gambling odds. I saw Will Levis has better odds to being the second quarterback picked. Will Levis, I thought that guy was no one was even talking about him anymore. I thought people dropped him. Like he was not even in the first round anymore. Best case for him, I was seeing him getting picked by Tennessee like a little bit later, and like Hendon Hooker was jumping over him now. What is happening with CJ? What is this blasphemy that's happening right now? Like he was like we just talked about. Like I'd be cool with him at number one.
Yeah.
What's just happened?
I mean, to me, I had to sit back and think. I'm like, okay, just kind of what we said earlier. When did the CJ hype start to build? Probably right around when the Panthers made the trade. That's when he kind of switched to the favorite and Bryce was the underdog. And so I'm like, okay, what is the thought process? Okay, Frank Wright, his past history of quarterbacks. What do you have? Matt Ryan last year, had Foles at one point, obviously Luck. And they just, Sam Ellinger, another quarterback. And they were just like, okay, he's never had a short quarterback. How many coaches in the NFL outside of like what, Sean Payton and Pete Carroll have had a short quarterback? So like
Right.
going off those norms was not really it was media hype, and that's really what drives odds anyway. But I think peeling back the layers, it kind of shows that the media doesn't know as much as they say they do. And I say the media like I'm not a YouTuber at this point, but just in general, the mainstream media, I guess per se.
Right.
And
Uh-huh.
I don't think there was ever any. I mean, there was some obviously. Like I said, there's somebody they like. It wasn't. They weren't shy about it at the pro day, but I don't think it was somebody they ever held in high regard ahead of Bryce. And
Right.
I think that with our system, like you said, with our coaches, CJ seemed like a better fit for, or any quarterback did, but like other teams may not like that. They may want to gamble on traits. Will Levis,
Right.
why he's number two, I don't know. But with their quarterback having their offensive coordinator for the Texans having that Shanahan background coming from San Francisco, obviously, Will Levis playing in Kentucky under Liam Cohen, the former Rams coach that called plays where he actually had a great junior year. So you see the connections to McVay, the Shanahan tree, the similar concepts, why Levis would be a darling for them at two. But CJ's fall, and I think the media wanted to be like, hey, this is why he's falling. This is why he's falling. This is why he's falling. Now it's starting to become clear that the Panthers are going a different direction. They're trying to justify the reason why they think he may fall, when it may have just been that he was never as high as we always thought. And I think a lot of people
Right.
are kind of scrambling maybe to cover their tracks to say that, okay, yep, we heard about this, we heard about that. The Manning thing came out. The S2 score is
That was
not
crazy.
great. This and that. He's not coachable. And I'm like, guys, you don't have to reach and
Yeah.
manufacture stuff to try to justify your takes. So it seems like he's falling, but that's just mainly, I think, to public's eye. But I think his stock was never as high as it was deemed for us. But we just go off what we know. We're not privy to those backdoor and back alley conversations that go down over a course of some drinks or a couple bourbons at the NFL
Yo.
Combine or the Senior Bowl. So we only go off what we can do. So I see where people
That's
are
why we
going.
got to go. We got to go to the combine. We got to ambush the combine one day in Indy and go to St. Elmo's or that steakhouse wherever everyone goes,
Yeah.
and then pack a couple whiskeys out and be like, yeah, and get the dirt. Like we won't be in. Hopefully, we won't be in the quarterback market for the foreseeable future unless something bad happens. But apparently, that's when everyone talks. That's when everyone
Yeah.
gets. Everyone gets a little drunk. Everyone talks a little bit because unless they will never badmouth CJ if they don't end up drafting him in the draft confidential, whatever the Panthers did. I hope they do that this year because this is gonna be so fascinating how they took all those meetings. Because I just want to hear like, sure, it's the media stuff, but I want to know, from insiders. I don't think any Panthers insiders would do it, but I want to know like, did CJ mess up the interview process? Where is this coming from that he's not coachable? Not that he's dumb, but the fact that according to Mike Lombardi, who take whatever you want, guys won Super Bowls as an exec, like he's saying that CJ just doesn't trust you. He doesn't believe what you're saying. And so that's why he's not coachable. He doesn't trust what you're telling him, not picking up what you're putting down. But I'd love to find out what's going on because it's been so drastic and so strange and just all of a sudden Will Levis is kind of moving up and Anthony Richardson, I guess he's been thought of as a potential franchise quarterback, but the whole CJ thing was very odd to me, and I'm going to look forward to seeing what's going on. But yeah, I just thought like just the amount of negativity I was hearing about him was just kind of, I've said it before, it was just kind of uncalled for,
Yeah,
unjustified. And maybe it's another team feeding it, so maybe he falls to them. I don't
yeah,
know. Maybe Green Bay is feeding all this bullshit because they don't like Jordan Love and they want CJ to fall all the way to them so
yeah,
they can let go of Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. Like it's all the dark arts right now when
yeah.
it comes to the draft era. It's
If he
weird.
falls, how far do you think he could go? I mean, there's and they Justin Fields fell also, so like you just never
Yep.
know how things shake out. But do you
I'm
think
just taking
outside of I guess of a trade per se,
right.
how far do you think CJ could fall as far
If
as
he
that?
somehow, I don't think he's going to the Colts. I wouldn't want him to go to the Colts just
No,
because it's such a crazy situation there. Like that's Will Levis written all over. Like Will Levis can go. He
yeah,
can go there. I've seen Detroit Lion fans getting mad. I'm just looking at the draft order. I
yeah,
see Detroit Lion fans getting mad that why are we drafting this guy? He's basically the quarterback we got now. I could see him going to Atlanta because I don't believe in any of the quarterbacks last year. Um, I could see like New England could be something like that. Mac Jones, Bill Belichick relationship doesn't seem too great.
yeah.
Um, Washington, like Detroit can have a couple chances if they wanted to get a backup. Same with Seattle. Like Seattle's picking at what 5 and 20.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Ty McShay.
Baltimore,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Baltimore too. I mean, Ty McShay dropped an article today saying that Seattle could be a dark horse for Stroud if he falls
yeah,
there, but if they don't, they could be going Hooker at 20. That's what he said, which would
okay,
be
I can see
interesting
that.
because, like I said, they have 2 first-round picks. Obviously, the Broncos, which is the reason
Mm-hmm.
why their pick is so high right now, but also
Mm-hmm.
their own at 20. So, I mean, see, I don't know. I think outside of a trade up, there could be a fall of quarterbacks. I don't know if it's going to be AR. I don't know if it's going to be Stroud, but um,
Mm-hmm. I feel like
Seattle
I
would be
could
out of
totally
there.
see Stroud being that sad guy in the green room because he already kind of has a like a resting sad face, and like I could see him being that guy who falls, like
Yeah,
just and he just looks sad in the
yeah,
green room. If he is going to, I haven't seen the the complete list, but my brother's a Seahawks fan, and he likes Anthony Richardson. He's like if they could pick him either at 5 because Seattle, this is a weird spot for them to be picking this high. They don't know if they're ever going to get to this point ever again. So he's like, if we can take a flyer on someone like Anthony Richardson, he'd be happy with that. And if that's the case, if Anthony Richardson's taking over CJ at 5, and then Will Levis goes to Indy, like yeah, I could see someone like a CJ falling and it just being really good TV. And yeah, I could totally see that. Are you streaming? Are you going to be streaming during the draft?
I'm not.
Who isn't streaming during the draft?
I'm not streaming to be honest. I will. I mean, if you want
Yeah.
me to jump in, I'll be available to jump in. I'm appearing on a Bucks podcast. One of my good friends, he covers the Bucks, Mr. Bucks Nation.
Mm.
I'll be recapping our pick after we pick. I'll be phoning into his. But besides that, I'll be in the lab. So get prepping some evaluation
Oh,
videos whenever prospects get chosen. So been working on trying to be on the ready with film for that because
oh shit.
I know you're streaming, PNP streaming. I'm sure C3 streaming. Um,
Yeah.
I don't like to bump heads with a lot of people when I go, so
Yeah.
it's I'm fine taking the back seat on draft night. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
excited. I'm sure I'll be a couple drinks in anyway. So
We're all going to be a couple drinks in. It's going to be great. I bought beers thinking I was going to be watching playoff hockey this weekend. I ended up not drinking anything. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just save this for Thursday. And like, I got this new job and I didn't think I was going to get Thursday off, but I got Thursday off and I got Friday off. So
oh
it's going to be wild. Like, day 2, I think is day 2 is the new day 1 for Panthers fans. I think we kind of know where we're going, but day 2 is going to be fun. It's going to see what happens with that.